hitting you in the face. Audio mullet, short in front, long in back. It's a fact, it's the audio mullet.
Oh man, this is Audio Mullet, and we have the best theme song in the world. I'm Michael J. Nelson, with me Ethan Nicolle, and Doug TenNapel.
Yeah, and we should mention that's Perry Grip on there, and he may or may not agree with everything we say in this podcast. Don't associate him with us. Just say thank you for the nice song.
This is Doug TenNapel. Perry Grip agrees with every single thing we say and do, and even our worst thoughts. He endorses them.
Sorry, Perry. You don't know Doug.
Yeah, you made it bad now, Doug. This is the podcast where we talk about unfashionable things. One of our members did have a mullet. Might have right now. I don't know. He's not in the same room as me. Doug, you can grow out a mullet pretty quickly, can't you?
I can honk a mullet like the mulletinest man ever. Mullet? Oh, man.
Mulletudinous.
Mulletudinous. There you go. Nice pull.
I had a mullet, and I've seriously thought of growing another.
On top of it?
Well, no, I don't have one now. I'm saying I'm willing to grow another one out to bring it back.
Oh, would you do that just for the podcast? So we can have.
No, I would never do it for the podcast, but I do it for other reasons.
Maybe we should all grow them out.
Yeah,
I'll grow mine out. I can still. I still have the hair and back. Yeah, I could grow it out. It'll take me a while. I'm probably a slower grower these days, but I could do it.
This is like Michael Jackson in Bad when they're like, "You're not bad anymore." He's like, "I'm bad. I'm bad." And they're like, "You're not mullet anymore." We're like, "Hey, I'm still mullet."
We are still mullet, and this podcast, if you've been listening, if you haven't, I don't care either way. I mean, I do care, but we talk about unfashionable things, and those would be, things like honor and manhood and religion, culture. We're all in the arts in some way, I guess. Others would argue that we are at all, but we sort of are.
And that's one weird thing when we talk about the arts and we get a little highfalutin is that when you think about how each of us have kind of made our name, it's all pretty ridiculous stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I worked with a 5-year-old. Doug had a famous worm guy. And then Mike made fun of movies with robot puppets.
It's our curriculum vitae is not very highfalutin.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah. We're garbage tier cultural movers. We're right. We're a click below Ruth Buzzy and Joanne Worley.
I
don't know who either of those people are.
Yes,
Ethan's
the young one.
Long gone has-beens. Long gone. We're right below Carrot. We're well below Carrot Top.
Well below, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're at the circus making pretty bad sculptures out of the elephant dung. That's basically what we're doing.
Yeah, but hey, we contribute. Right. We played our little part.
That's right.
In the swirling down the drain of the West, we played our little part.
So we're going to talk today about a big topic, and then later, I believe, Ethan, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to have our own, our tips, our sort of survival tips, our life hacks, because each of us,
our little, like special tips of like things that we use in life that it seems like other people don't know. So some hot tips coming up.
I better think of something. This is the first I heard of this.
Doug doesn't read.
Doug doesn't read our notes. Yeah.
Yeah, I can never find Google Docs as well.
Arrogance.
Yeah, so you're going to come out of this podcast both smarter and dumber, but maybe a little better prepared for life. So all of those things can happen at the same time. And Ethan, introduce our big topic for the day, if you will.
Okay, so this topic, we're talking about creativity and the whole idea of why do we create? Why do we make up stories? Why do we even make up creatures? From the standpoint, I'm curious to even like try to figure out how a person who doesn't believe in God would come up with why we do that. But even with the idea that God did create us, why did He make us to do it, and why do we do it? And
boy, that's a simple question, Ethan. Thank you. Can you use more words? Hold on, let's do something real quick. I have a fun game.
Oh, wow. This is a curveball. All right. Curveball from Doug. It's a new department. Curveball from Doug.
Yes.
It's a curveball from Doug. Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
Throw your prep notes in the trash. I've got this. We're going to all play atheist right now. Atheist, Ethan.
All right.
Atheist, Mike,
Athean. We should have atheist names. Athean. Mine's the easiest name to do it with.
Mikins. That's like Dawkins.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And Doug, what? Doug, Paleolithic Doug. I don't know. I'm trying to do like a paleo day. That's terrible. That's a terrible idea. Hey, quit getting me off topic. Let me stay on my tangent.
We're going to be atheists.
Put me on your tangent, bro. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna each argue from our atheistic position why people do creativity. Okay.
Sure.
Egghead atheist, Ethan.
Creativity comes from our need to survive, our need to feel our survival has meaning than other than survival. Make babies with awesome DNA and improve the world so it's better for our survival. From art to science, every new product or idea starts with a problem and ends with a solution or an expression. I'm cheating. I had notes from an atheist.
Oh, man.
I asked you to come up with what's in your own head. Although like all atheists, you plagiarize everything. So maybe you're just being true to character. You're so uncreative as an atheist that you had to steal someone else's atheistic theory.
I would say, I have no idea. I literally don't. I can't. I mean, it's bizarre to me.
Don't worry.
Yeah, step aside, amateur. Let Mike atheist get in here.
Mikins has it. Richard Mikins has it covered.
Richard Mikins.
Don't worry. See, you know how the birds put their plumage out and attract the opposite sex? You know, they do elaborate dances and elaborate songs.
Yeah.
This is simply to move our genes into the next generation. We create things that attract the opposite sex, and this has just sort of evolved into a thing that we do, because our culture has changed, our biology has changed, but we still retain this unnecessary but still pleasing to us because it reminds us of the days when we were hanging by our fingers in the trees trying to attract our ape mates. So that's why.
Yeah, I've read that story in National Geographic so many times, and you can just can't you just smell the data in that? Can't you just smell the repeatable scientific inquiry in that whole thing? I can just.
The other one that I've also found, like a lot of people kind of just say, like, oh well, cavemen were on one side of a crag, and then they saw on the other side there's some fruit over there, so they innovated and made a thing called a bridge. And so it's just for survival, just to find more fruit and stuff. And
that's what I was going to go with. Is it's something like that, but it's also kind of Joseph Campbell too. But my spin on it would be, look, there is no meaning, right, and there is no morality, and there's no true trying to touch the hem of the dress of the muse, the untouchable hem. We're cavemen in a cave. And everything has to have a survival benefit. That's the only reason why anything ever survived and changed up to this point. So we're going to reverse engineer that to the man in the cave. The man in the cave, the tribe that was most likely to survive was the one that was the most creative, because you had to come up with an idea to better, get that fruit across the bridge, to better survive when the saber-toothed tiger comes.
Or to kill more other people.
Yeah. And that includes your superstition, your prenatal Christian religion of drawing, of tracing your hand on the wall and drawing a bison to secure its soul in the hunt. If that false religion helped you survive, then you'd pass your genes and your teaching on your tribe would in the next generation. And the ones that were non-creative, the Michael Bay tribe, they would just die out. They had no ideas.
Okay, look, I'm obviously, as Richard Mikins, I agree with you 100%. But to play one of those savage, bitter clingers to religion for a second, how does Bach's B minor mass, how does that secure the genes of Bach into the next generation? I mean, he had many, many sons and daughters, so obviously it did something. But how does, in the ultimate scheme, how does it help us?
Well, it merely needs to be the solution. I can't get specific. I only know that it happened because we're here. That's all the data you need. It's and then a miracle. And then a materialist event happens.
I mean, it would just be one of those really amazing, like in the world of peacocks, it's a peacock that really shook its feathers really good, and it just resonated with all the peacocks for like centuries.
Yeah, Bach is the biggest peacock.
He's got a huge tail. That guy's swinging
Yeah,
low, baby.
Yeah,
He can ruffle.
So he was advantaged, and there's no other meaning to it than that. All the other meaning is stuff that we're just applying and sticking on to him, even saying that it's beautiful, because it could be ugly and help us survive, and that would be good. Though I'm using the word good in quotes.
Yeah,
because
of course.
If there's no such thing as good, then it also wouldn't necessarily be good that we survive. Because
Well,
who cares?
it's good in your own, for the purposes of this explanation. Relative to not passing on your genes. Good would just mean passing on your genes, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So let's not use that awful moral term that's superstitious, ass backwards, what linear Western thinking nobodies use. Let's use just adaptation, just adaptive, the most adaptive thing. And if you survive, fine. And if for some reason we all got wiped out, I can make no judgment of those two things. One can't be better than that. There is no category there.
Right. I would also add that
I'm so smart.
Yeah, we're all super smart. I would also add that it could just be like music itself is just advanced calls, the same way that a squirrel chirps in the tree or a raccoon.
Mating calls.
Yeah. Mike, I actually seriously read that exact theory in National Geographic about 4 years ago.
Oh,
I read
really?
it and I was laughing. They're all, why do we love music so much? And I was just, I'm going to read this whole article and find what anyone anywhere would call science.
Wow.
And it was just a bunch of guys telling stories, man.
So I wonder what they would make of going back to Bach. He would wake up every morning at 4:30 by candlelight and write the stuff, and it didn't get published in his lifetime. It got thrown into a heap of papers. But on the top of every page, he would letter it with an abbreviation that was "To the Glory of God." So I wonder what they would say about, what do the super smart guys at National Geographic say about his idiocy of putting that on there?
Yeah.
What
he
was
would
that about?
live under that. Ethan, you can weigh in here, but he would live under that religious illusion that it doesn't matter if it's true. If believing in a God helps you write music, right, that helps your mating song prowess or whatever, then it doesn't have to be true. It just has to be a survival benefit. Is what
right? Yeah,
said.
any delusion is acceptable if it furthers the species.
That's right, which is C.S. Lewis's argument against our correct position of atheism. That fraud.
By the way, my name's Athean, please.
Oh, sorry, atheist. That. Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. So put your fedora back on. That fraud said that. I wish I could remember what he said now. I'm so smart, I can't even hold another thought.
Well, it wasn't worth talking about, obviously, if you couldn't even remember it. But thanks for that dead air there, Mr. Mr.
Nice.
Tee it up and
Yeah,
then
I'm
leave dead air. That's always good.
Hey, don't yell at me. Yell at my genes.
That's right. I blame your genes. All right. So can we take the atheist costume off and then come up with a positive case, or
Yeah.
Should we put on our like cultural Christian costume and come up with like the like canned answer to this?
I think we should just be kick-ass atheists every week. Because I'm a better atheist than all those frauds. I've read more books than them on atheism. I know their arguments better than they do.
Who's your favorite atheist, by the way, as long as we're on the topic? Because I know, Doug, you read a lot of them. I read some, but usually I don't go to book length like you do. I don't know why you torture yourself like that.
Besides you two, my favorite atheist would be it was always Christopher Hitchens.
Yeah, that's who I'd go with too. But he just was fun to listen to.
Because he was freaking funny is why. Yeah, so if you're going to slog through atheistic material, and just a really acerbic, brutal, well-articulated insult, because he was a great writer. So he could just craft the most degrading, awful insult. And I just thought, well, at least he can write. Whereas Dawkins and Harris and Dennett, like their insults are so stupid and very non-PG Wodehouse. How's that?
Yeah, but his arguments are pretty. I mean, of all of them, his I think are the worst. Like his is just a collection of ad hoc this and that, whatever serves the purpose at the time, which amuses him at that moment. If he's particularly in his cups that day at an argument, he'll come up with a different rationale. He didn't. It does not cohere in any way. Yeah. I don't think
he's a postmodern entertainer, and I would put Sam Harris somewhat in that category too. Of all those four, well, and probably Dawkins because his arguments are bad. Dennett's the one that probably has the best arguments of them all. If I had to guess,
Ethan, your favorite atheist?
I don't know. I don't have one based on like my favorite. Oh wait, am I speaking as Ethan or Athean now? I'm confused.
You could answer.
Genuinely.
Well, if I was going to be Doug the atheist, I'd say Bill Nye. He's the smartest, funniest, best dressed bow tie living scientist of our time. That guy's just that guy. And who's the English comedian that's always doing crap?
Oh, Ricky Gervais.
The other guy, the other bucktooth, jug-eared inbred guy.
Who's an atheist?
Yeah, the bucktooth guy.
Oh, bucktooth English comedians. Let's get callers. Let's call in and give us who that is. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Oh, he's super famous. He was in The Hobbit as the politician in the second Hobbit, the smog one with the greasy hair. What's his name?
Stephen Fry?
Yeah, Stephen Fry.
Said like 7 times.
You did? I didn't hear you. Yeah, Stephen Fry.
Yeah, that was well done, guys. That was a good use of 15 seconds
for his name.
Yeah.
Look, I got up at 3
a.m.
I did not.
I find it like to some extent. It's actually when they're arguing for atheism is when I kind of start to lose them. But like I think Stephen Fry, to some extent, he's a charming guy. I like him.
Yeah, he's Oscar Wilde for this generation. Yeah, he's very charming.
Yeah.
I always thought he was a smug jerk.
I thought that until I saw him. He was in a debate where he was on the side of Jordan Peterson, and that kind of helped me.
Oh yeah. I like that.
Kind of helped me like see him in another different light. But Penn Jillette, I have a bit of a soft spot for. I know he can be really obnoxious. He's also very honest, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Some extent. I'll double down on Penn Jillette too. He's one of my favorite atheists too.
How are his arguments? I've never heard him argue. I just think he's just sort of a libertarian atheist, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't mean to diminish that.
He's just an original thinker. He doesn't like. I mean, not every thought's original. Just that he doesn't like toe a line. So
they're very emotional. Very emotional. I saw him on a show where, this is a pretty bad argument, but pretty typical, where he was raised in a Christian home and his parents just, he was raised in a church and they just wanted him to be saved. And his mom was dying and he would not tell them he was an atheist until after they died. He came out with it. Because he didn't want to disrespect them or really hurt their feelings and destroy them. And he said on his mom's deathbed, who was just crushed and drooping with cancer, and I think he'd even admitted to praying for her healing and just begged for healing. And he just said, after I saw that suffering, I knew there could be no God. So that's a pretty normal emotional argument.
Yeah, that's Bertrand Russell 101, right?
Yeah, it's everybody always. Why is there suffering? That's the Epicurean challenge.
Yeah.
Goes all the way back.
As we were thinking about my favorite atheist, can I just throw in my least favorite atheist argument, which I think is Sam Harris? If I'm misattributing, I apologize. It's like fingernails on a chalkboard for me. It's so stupid. If I were an atheist, I would go, stop making this argument. It's, lots of people believed in God and lots of people believe in the God that you are referring to. I just believe in one less God than you.
Yeah. And he acts like he wrote that.
And everybody applauds. It's just, what?
Woo! Woo! You just won the debate, bro. Drop the mic.
I just find that so stupid and rhetorically so annoying. But I wish they would drop that one. But that apparently is a huge rousing ovation getter. So I guess we're stuck with it.
Yeah. And I use that argument all the time on atheists back at them too. I usually get at it before they do. I go, there are, hundreds of conflicting evolutionary theories. I just believe in one less than you, and it never works on them. I don't know.
All right. So what is now we've played the atheists, and I think we did it rather well. Thank you very much.
This might be a new segment where when we bring up a topic, we hit it with our best atheistic, our best shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's do diligence. Due diligence.
without too much dripping sarcasm.
I was straight.
Well,
we were straightforward there, completely.
Totally
straight up.
Straight up, man.
I think all their arguments are dumb. I just know them all. I know which one's probably best. And my hunter-gatherer one, the guy in the cave, survival through creativity, that stomps all yours in the mud. Ethan didn't quite develop it enough with that.
Speaking of the guy in the cave.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. If we read G.K. Chesterton, who's awesome.
Yeah.
He starts his book, The Everlasting Man, and he starts the book off challenging an idea that when you first read it, I know for me when I first read it, I was like, it really kind of, at first I was like, is he just totally ignorant? And he makes this point that like we have this idea of the caveman that he just, knocking women over the head, dragging around by their hair, tyrannical government, everything's just, they're basically an ape that slightly thinks it has a slight bit more intelligence. And then you realize that the reason that we say that, we have no actual evidence of it, but because we've believed evolution and we believe we came from monkeys, we just imagine that the caveman is slightly one step up from a monkey. But the only evidence we actually have of the caveman is the paintings on the walls in the cave.
That he was a religious artist. Yeah. Is the only evidence we have of the caveman. I love it.
And it's fascinating to think, if you shut down what you've been believing your whole life about humans and why we do what we do and kind of re-examine it, which is his big argument in the beginning of that book, is like, one thing he says about Christianity is if you could present Christianity to our culture as like some foreign, some ancient Chinese religion, then people could really look at it with fascination and truth. But because we have so much baggage connected to it, it's the same thing with creativity and with being human. Like we have so much baggage connected to everything. It's so hard to like reset and look at it and think, wait, why do we really do this? Like, why would a person suddenly decide to draw a buffalo on a cave wall, figure out how to do that? And why would they do that in a time where I'm sure that they would need, there's probably other things they could do with their time.
Yeah. The fascinating thing about that struck me, because we're reading that in my Chestertonian group, but it's a monthly group. So I think about a year ago I read that. Yeah.
Well, we're starting Everlasting Man in the spring. My Chesterton group just wrapped up Orthodoxy. It was wonderful.
Oh, we were going to do Orthodoxy and we flipped. So now Orthodoxy's next. So
Orthodoxy is so much funner than Everlasting Man.
I know Everlasting Man is a slog, man.
But now they're all fans. Now they're all ready. So see if I started with that one. Ooh.
Yeah, that's oof.
The phone book.
It's tough, but it's great. I mean, it's obviously rewards. We're it's fantastic. But the thing that struck me is what he said about the cave drawings is, imputing this again, your knuckle dragging, club wielding caveman to someone who drew it like without any evidence whatsoever. How do you know that this is not a nursery that you're stumbling upon? And
you don't know what it is.
You don't know. You have no idea. That's just one explanation out of 100 that make that these. Drawings, first of all, they show some artistry, which he argues for strenuously. And then secondly, they could be for the amusement of a 5-year-old. And there's a 5-year-old giggling at, look at the funny drawing that Daddy just did. So
every scientist and archaeologist will tell you, no, we know that it was a votive figure. That's how they would secure the soul of the hunt. And I'm like, no one knows that.
Yeah.
We don't know. And by the way, on the design side of things, I have studied the caves of Lascaux. Like in college, it was one of my projects, and I was applying design theory to what they actually did with the shape and bodies of the animals and things that are depicted in those things. And it really is brilliant, well-designed stuff.
How do you pronounce I agree with you. How do you pronounce the cave again? I've been mispronouncing it.
Lascaux.
Lascaux. Okay, I thought it was Lyceau or something. All right, Lascaux.
Well, the French might call it that. I've only heard it Lascaux.
Okay, yeah.
Caves of Lascaux.
They are, for those listening, those are the archetypal, like if you look up cave paintings, right? The first image you will see would be that, like an antelope or something like that.
Yeah. And another one would be another thing that we have is a little sculpture of a little spherical, round, fat lady called the Venus of Willendorf. The Venus of Willendorf, which was found, I think, in Africa or something, but it's considered the oldest sculpture. And it's really, again, really well designed, really interesting, really cool.
I'm amazed fat people existed that far back in history.
Well, they might have all been skinny and dying, but it might be just an ideal of theirs. Their ideal is to have this.
They'd never seen it.
Large-breasted woman, tiny hands, tiny feet. Because let's face it, you don't really think about the hands and feet. It was some kind of an ideal or something. I mean, we don't. Yeah, that's interesting. We don't know.
You don't think about the hands and feet. Apparently, you've never gone on to wikifeet.com to.
Oh man, I'm not even going to look.
I you go into like radio broadcaster voice to say that word. Oh, wiki feet.
I was trying to do just a little bit of Norm Macdonald in there.
Yeah, it had a real.
Wait, is there a wiki hand?
I don't believe. Are the hands much of a? I don't know, guys. I don't want to look it up. I don't know.
We don't need to go down that.
Why did guys? Wait, no. I want to address this. Why are guys into the feet? I've heard about this foot fetish. I don't get it.
Well, I don't get it either. Could we? I don't know. Ethan, maybe.
Why would we'll do an episode about that. A full episode.
Yeah. Why would it be a hand fetish though? Doesn't that make more sense than a foot?
Maybe we should do one about this. The weirdness of sexuality.
Yeah. It's like having a coffee can fetish or something. It's like, okay, I understand some fetishes. I don't get coffee can.
Here's the one that I remember from my abnormal psychology in college was a guy who was into rubber boots. He had a rubber boot fetish. And so now that would be, you got to respect it, right? But back then it was considered abnormal. And he secretly rented his own barn and filled it with rubber boots. And so when his wife discovered, what is this $25,000 bill this month? And he's like, what's that? Tugging on his collar. He had a whole barn filled with rubber boots.
And mankind is just, there's something wrong. If someone told me anything about a man's sexual proclivities, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I'd know it was wrong or stupid or something, but I'd go, yeah, I can see how he'd rewire himself to be into coffee cans, I guess.
Yeah, it's a cliche, but anything you could think of already has a forum that is not only well developed and tended. It has been in operation since 1987. We're the first.
There's a subscription service.
Yeah, and is infiltrated by the FBI and already monitored.
I'm curious about elbow skin. There's got to be people that are into that.
Wait, you're not, huh? Oh. Yeah, I have a barn filled with elbow skin.
I think we've all been into elbow skin at some time.
All right, so switching gears here just for a moment, just for another aspect of our main topic of creativity, I want to read a C.S. Lewis quote.
Yes,
which
please.
Gets us into one other aspect of this that I'd like to examine. This is a letter that he wrote to somebody, I don't know who, in the year 1943. He says, creation, as applied to human authorship, seems to me to be an entirely misleading term. We rearrange elements that he has provided. He is capitalized, meaning God. There's not a vestige of real creativity de novo. De novo in us means like out of, or just starting fresh.
From nothing, yeah.
Try to imagine a new primary color, a third sex, a fourth dimension, or even a monster which does not consist of bits existing animals of existing animals stuck together. Nothing happens, and that surely is why our works, as you said, whoever he's writing to, never mean to others quite what we intended, because we are recombining elements made by God and already containing his meanings. And there you go.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think I disagree with that. Although it sounds a little that we sound like robots. There's a way you could look at that where we sound like robots just picking up pieces and throwing them, together into a shape that makes him like our dog putting on a costume or something, and then, the dog doesn't know he looks like a reindeer or whatever, but we're all laughing. It sounds a little like that, but I don't think that that's true. I think we also have in us the ability to delight in his creation as we're rearranging it. If that makes sense.
That's the weird thing. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I can come up with a slight argument against it. But I kind of agree, and I think this is probably why Tolkien called themselves sub-creators instead of creators, out of respect for the deity, who is the true creator, and the best we can ever be is a sub-creator. Maybe that's where that came from. I would say that when I think of art, and I think of beautiful art, God's reality has one form of beauty, but artists go in and can make things more voluptuous than nature. So there's God's reality. We recombine elements and we point to a higher ideal than what is there. Now that might be false or something. I don't know, but I'm only saying, so think of how God created, say, the tonic scale or whatever they call it. Mike, you can help me out with the music stuff. But only Bach recombined it in a way that had not existed before. So the sequence of notes and the sequence of events had not existed before. And when he put those down, he actually created that. And we listen to it and we say, yes, that is beauty. And by that we mean that probably agrees with God's highest ideal. Because the pursuit of beauty in the pre-modern times was always that, trying to reach an ideal. So they would draw the human form or paint the human form, and it was almost always more beautiful than a natural human form. Let's say an old person, you might not have as many liver spots. You might make them look younger or more rhythmic in their design. So there's elements being put into it.
Yeah.
That would be my argument. And even C.S. Lewis's writings, right? The Chronicles of Narnia did not exist before he wrote it, or Mere Christianity. Those arguments didn't exist before he wrote it. They were true before he wrote it, but the way he put them together isn't that an improvement on God's creation? And did he not intend for us to make those things, given he gave us so many raw materials?
Well, I think that I think that's one thing. That's one thing Tolkien talks about is that I think what he says is you're actually finding, when he's creating, when you're ordering these things together, you're actually finding a story that was out there meant to be told. And that's something I'm curious to talk about. Do you think that when you tell a story that you're rearranging those elements from your own, you're creating that combination, or are you finding it?
Yeah. No, I'm always feel like I'm a dim reflection of beauty. But the only difference is I would say that beauty flows from God first. And then how we call it down and use it is up to us. Yeah. We were free to make the music or the painting.
Right. The composer Antonin Dvorak said that he was taking dictation from God. And he didn't mean that he was not aggrandizing, my stuff is from God. Yeah. He was demurring, I don't. No.
Mm-hmm.
The credit is not to me. The credit is to God. And if these things are beautiful to you, it is because they are from, the Creator. So I think, Doug, you made a good argument. I think kind of both things are true. Can I equivocate?
Sure.
because it's like
I don't think it.
Yeah, I don't think they're in contradiction. It's a sandbox in a way that is endless. And so if you put together things that are, from the sandbox, you make a beautiful thing that it didn't exist per se, but it's also not, you're never going beyond God's creation. He gave you this stuff. And the same way that he delights in creation, he wants us to delight in, the things and materials and everything that he gave us, all the tools. So,
but C.S. Lewis sounds like he's putting too much of a materialist boundary on what we do creatively. Like he's saying, you can only formally rearrange these particles. It almost sounds materialist in that way.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
actually,
an unfortunate wording of that. I would be surprised to learn that he actually believed that kind of thing.
I mean, it's just a couple sentences out of a letter, so we don't know.
Yeah.
Context.
And I get his point. I think he makes a really strong point. I'm only saying I wish he would address kind of what artists do better. For instance, I'm not trying to create, ex nihilo, a brand new color, but everything I've ever drawn or painted, if you actually compare it to reality, it almost has nothing to do with reality. I mean, from one point of view, I tell stories about fathers and things like that, but I have characters with appealing face designs for which no human being has walked around with those exact proportions, or they'd be seen as like a monster. And yet when people look at that image, they say, oh, that is a dad, and I get what he's about because of the way he carries himself and the actual design of him. So I'm only saying I don't think he gives enough credit to what creative people actually create or I'd say maybe we're more robust sub-creators than I think he's talking about in that letter.
I think part of it might just be perspective, because I think that one thing about art is that, this is another topic I'm curious about, is there's a tendency in art to make us arrogant and to make us like feel like we're godlike.
Yeah.
And that's one reason I find this perspective, especially the Tolkien sub-creator perspective, it's a humble perspective of art, where it's almost like our art is a worship of God's creation. And it's also, if we are God's creation, then our voice within that creation, how we rearrange those pieces and how we translate it through our pen or whatever, is all part of it. But then there's the other side where it's pure self-expression, and we think that there's this amazing thing in us that's...
Yeah, no, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in totally unfettered expression. So I will bind it to God's truth. I'm only saying I think God gave us more powerful tools than just rearranging what he already made. I think we are actually creating newly discovered information that didn't exist before. But the elements, for instance, words existed before he wrote Chronicles of Narnia. But the way that he put them into order did not exist before.
That's rearrange. That's where I'm trying to understand. Like you're saying that we don't just rearrange, but every example is that we're rearranging.
No, because it'll go to a deeper concern of what is art. Is art? Is the content what the art is, or the presentation? And I always default to it's the content, not the presentation. And C.S. Lewis, I believe, is talking more about the presentation, and I'm leaning more toward the content.
I think ultimately when, let's say, Bach gets to the pearly gates and is holding his B minor mass and hands it to God or whomever, his secretary. Could you get this to God? I'd appreciate that. I don't think it'll be like a mother with a child's picture exactly. Like, isn't this cute? He tried to do something. Yeah. I think it'll be a genuine, wow, this is good. I think it'll be more robust than that. Like this, you took what I gave you, the tools that I gave you. Well done, my good and faithful servant. I think would be more the reaction rather than, isn't that funny that he did this? He tried this thing. And I'll put it up on the refrigerator,
Our response to art is so much greater than just, oh, I've seen that before. The reason why we start to worship and hold art, artists up, probably irresponsibly, is that we know that something amazing has happened. And it's not just, oh, he just rearranged the elements. It's like, no, he shook the foundations of the universe and blew my mind open in a way that it was not blown before. And that credit, every artist gives credit to God, fine. That is well placed, because he's the ultimate. We're like, we are his conduit. He's like the ultimate, hand in everything we do. So of course, all credit goes to him. Ultimate credit goes to him. But it doesn't mean that I didn't play some part in what I did, and he willed it that way. Right. He wanted Bach to show up. He wanted me to show up. He wanted you guys to show up in your work. And I just think it goes beyond just I'm taking fish parts and recombining them with mammoths. You know what I mean? I'm
You're a Star Wars alien designer.
Yeah, I'm doing more than that. And I think we also do judge the grotesque, that is things that are ugly art, when we see people kind of try to invent a new color, let's say. I think that's where the true ugliness comes from, probably when you do get too far off the blueprint and start making truly monstrous things. They're always like this abomination, combination of everything that we hate.
Right.
Yeah, that might be the topic that we should split off to another episode, but I would love to talk about, is there, the right or the wrong way to create, or the right motivation or wrong, or just that whole, is there morality within creating, and ugliness, beauty, all that? But that's a whole other can of worms.
Yes. There. Now we don't have to open a can of worms.
Yeah. Ethan, indulge me. I think you probably have it in front of you. The quote from Chesterton about creativity that you sent, or it was part of the, your stuff.
Is this the quote about the artistic?
I have a few. I'm not sure.
It's the one about monotony.
Artistic temperament.
It's about the monotony of creation of and I sent that to my lovely wife today, and she wrote back that I read this and burst into tears. So
look at you.
With that, would you
I'll send it to my wife and look like I came up with it?
It's like a short paragraph. Can you read it?
Yeah, so it's from Orthodoxy. He says, but perhaps God is strong enough to exult in monotony. It is possible that God says every morning, do it again to the sun, and every evening, do it again to the moon. It may not be automatic monotony that makes all daisies alike. It may be that God makes every daisy separately, but has never gotten tired of making them. It may be that he has the eternal appetite of infancy, for we have sinned and grown old, and our Father is younger than we.
Oh, it's so good. God as a child who delights in every bit of his creation. I mean, that's mind-blowing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and a great counter-argument to the thinkers of his time, where they're trying to narrow down all of creation, and like the sun rises and stuff, it's all a matter of particles moving through the universe, blind, guideless, it's ugly. And then he comes up with his own. He's going like, well, if they're going to come up with a theory, here's my theory. Let's try this one. And it's just so much more beautiful. It's wonderful.
But, all of us having had children, there is something in that joy of that he captures there. The do it again thing is so beautiful because, I mean, Bridget and I talk about it now. Our kids are grown and one is married. They're out of the house. I think if I could get a day back, I don't know. Yeah. Would it be reading that book to my kid for the 700th time?
Yeah.
As they say, no, you're reading it wrong. Read it like you did before,
Yeah.
Which annoyed me at the time. But now I'd be like, man, if I could live in that day, how much money would I give? Like $100,000 probably?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so amazing that he uses that imagery and to put that on. I mean, and again, he says maybe, he says perhaps, so he's not making any statements. But
he's speculating.
Yeah, but God delighting like a child in his own creation. Why did he make the universe so big? I don't know, because he likes to do it. He's having fun. I don't know.
Yeah, by the way, because we just finished that book, that is loosely tied to the very end where you see the end of the book coming. I'm going, oh, how's it going to stick the landing? Oh, we're getting farther along in that last sentence. Nothing yet. And he's going like, why would he send Christ? Why would he create all of this stuff? Why? And he goes like, it's something like my sense is, so he's speculating again, that it has something to do it's not something to do. He'd never say that but my suspicion is that it was done in mirth. and that was the end of the book. So mirth is a big thing. Yeah, mirth is a big thing, and that is expressed in that joy of the child saying, "Do it again," and him continuing to let the sun rise because he takes great, like a childlike pleasure in it, and he is younger than we.
Oh, it's so incredible. That is a theory that has never been introduced into any scientific formulation. Is because it's fun, because it's mirthful, because there's joy.
It wasn't even brought up in Christian philosophy before Chesterton, which is why we love him so, is instead of everyone seeing this kind of, because God is involved with laws and absolutes and ultimates that we keep slamming him into, and this very well may be because we live in a materialist age, that we're casting all of that logic onto him as an absolute and just kind of a mechanistic, only by necessity
rule maker,
almost like a divine robot where he's trapped in his own will. Even his prevenient grace is trapped in his own will. And Chesterton describes a completely different God, which is just as justified by Scripture, that he's voluptuous and jolly and happy and like a child and having fun and all that, which is more what he's into. Like it.
It reminds me of the, I don't know if this is original to Mr. Van Morrison, but during his, I believe he had a Christian period. I don't know where he is now. I have no idea, but he has a great song called He's the Youth of 1,000 Summers, which sounds mundane on its face. But then you think about it, like when you were a kid, when it was the first day of summer, there's no bigger day on the planet. I remember seared into my mind going out of my third grade class on the last day of school and just like the sun hitting me in the face and joy exploding over me.
Yeah.
And,
I'm free.
And he's the youth of 1,000 of those. In other words, an endless amount of days of bursting out of your third grade classroom.
Yeah.
I love it.
And a kid of that age can't even conceive what 3 months is before he has to go back to school. To him, that might be an eternity. He's like, that's all I need. I'm just going to eat all the chocolate right in front of me. It's that kind of good.
I feel
guys,
like we barely scratched the surface, but I feel like we should probably move on.
Yeah, we should get to our fun life hacks. We're going to take a little break, and then we will be right back. This is Audio Mullet. Okay, we're back. This is Audio Mullet. We talked about big things, but now we're going to talk about even bigger things, and that is our life hacks. This is things that will improve your life. Your life will be better because you listen to us, and always listen to us. Right, guys?
Yeah.
Right.
Always listen to Audio Mullet, guys. Subscribe. Tell your frids about it.
Click on the side.
Get the word out.
Click the link, guys. Hey, guys. Appreciate it.
Crush that like.
Oh, my God.
Slap the donkey.
Oh,
slap that donkey.
When will that language end? Can we get rid of that? All right, Doug, your life hack. You had time to think about it, so do not shirk this. Give us your best tip.
Okay, here's my best tip. I'm not going to say anything about it. I'll just go right into it. One of my useful life hacks is I bite my thumbnail off and try and secure it as a full-blown sliver, little moon shape, all in one piece.
Oh my God, I'm already horrified.
And I put it in my mouth and I use it to toothpick between my teeth with my tongue.
Oh God!
You can just stab right in those grooves. And though I've never flossed my teeth, I go to the dentist and they go, total lack of plaque between your teeth, bro. And I'm always too ashamed to tell them what I'm telling you now.
All right.
Useful life hack. Hey, you gave me the criteria. Now don't judge me.
No. I'm not. I'm going to, for the listener, assume that both Ethan and I screamed a full 20 seconds. So we'll just get that out of the way in horror. And I assume you're doing the same thing. So. Right. So that 20 seconds is over, and now we can actually start to drill down, so to speak. Doug, do you snake it through all the teeth? How does this work?
It really won't go very well into all the teeth, especially if it's a particularly thick thumbnail. But for sure, the front
thick yellow, like old man thumbnail, like something that hits you in the eye at the gym from that guy who's dangling his sack down on the.
Coarsely bit off. It's got like a serrated edge. I can usually work it really well between my two front teeth, and a few of my lowers too. Just you get it in there and you're pulling. It's like a hardcore. Forget this piece of string stuff. This is like a jackhammer, man. You're going in for good, and you're really going to dig out a pretty big ditch. You can drive a truck through that thing.
Wow.
It'll be like, Letterman sized gap.
Wow. And the dentist says of this practice of yours, hooray.
Yeah.
The dentist stands.
Well, they don't know what I did.
Slow
to
claps.
Do it. They go, oh, yeah, this is.
There's no plaque, but there's tons of fingernails.
Yeah. I don't leave it in there, Ethan. That'd be gross.
When I try to pick my teeth with my fingernails get stuck in there and I can't get it out. And I'm like,
because you have to wait till you get the full blown,
that weird feeling when your teeth are being pushed apart.
Yeah, you got to get all one piece.
But how do the teeth that you can't get them through are still plaque free? They just benefit by proximity.
You can still stab in there. You can get it close. You can't go all the way through with a thumbnail, but you can get in there from the inside. You can bash out, whatever gunk's in there. It really works.
Do you have one in there right now?
No.
Okay.
I have chewing tobacco. I have Copenhagen pouches I have one in the chamber right now.
Another life hack.
Yeah, that's my antidepressant message, but we'll save that for the next one, the next life hack. I think.
Well, I think you blew this department out, Ethan. I don't know if you have anything yourself. I have one.
Wait, I didn't this idea, and I'm the only one doing one now.
No. I just said I'm asking Ethan right now. I'm just saying that it's a hard follow.
You might need a decaf life hack there.
Always
end with bro.
These segments always end with me. Trust me.
Oh God.
So I have two, but one is I'm not sure if it actually works, but I do it, and that's if I am forced to emit flatulence in a situation where I do not want anybody to smell it, I attempt to breathe it all in.
Wait, what?
I'll let it out, and I'll try to just like suck it all in. Like my hope is that it'll go in and like no one else will smell it. I don't know if that works, but you're welcome to try it and let me know. Report back.
I mean, maybe on an elevator or in a phone booth, but
you're really close
in free air.
That's false advertising. Mike's claim was that this would actually help make your life better.
Okay, my other one might actually help because this one, for me, I always sucked at peeling garlic, which I think my love for garlic is connected to my farting a lot. But garlic. I used to spend forever peeling garlic, and I found the trick.
Yeah.
So you put your garlic down on the table in like an arc, kind of like a rainbow shape, and you basically give it like a chest compression. That breaks its spine, and you put it between your hands, and you rub your hands together. And it just falls right off. It's like instant garlic peel. So you're welcome.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to contradict you. I'm going to best you.
Try it.
You take that same garlic cloves, the same ones. You don't have to smash your hand on them at all. You put them in a metal pan, a pot, right, with a lid, and you just shake the hell out of them and open the pan, and they all just fall out with no skin on them.
What?
Ooh, that's a better hack.
You never touch them. You never touch them.
Yeah, you don't want that on your hands, Ethan. You'll never.
I got to try it before I believe it.
Trust me.
I'll report back.
I never need a whole clove.
You breathe your own fart in, report back. I'll do that.
The whole goal of garlic, getting the garlic in your food, is so you bust up the garlic to get the flavor in it. So you put it under the knife and you just bash it. You push down on the knife.
But then you get your stinky hands, and you got and the skin gets all sticky with the garlic itself. Garlic's very sticky on your hands.
No, you can pull the little the sheath off. You can pull the flash away.
Look, toenail in the mouth. You don't get to speak about anything culinary at all. Nothing.
Oh, now I already have my Indian name. Toes and tone in the mouth.
It was toenail, right? You bite off a big yellow toenail.
No, it was thumbnail.
I'm going to just say toenail. I heard toenail.
How do I bite a toenail?
You know how far away his toe is? He's probably hasn't seen his feet in years.
It's in another zip code.
But he's Gumby too, so you can easily flex it right up there.
That's true. No, that'd be a bridge too far. No, thumbnail.
I'm guessing because you're kind of an anal person, you don't buy pre-crushed garlic.
For years, I had a friend who would watch me meticulously peeling garlic before I learned the life hack that I just gave you. And he'd go, "What are you doing? Just buy the crushed garlic, you ass." And I'd be like, "Oh, please, come on." Now I have a giant jar of crushed garlic in my refrigerator.
You just spoon that on everything.
I can't. I do. I used to buy it too, but I don't know. It's so much tastier freshly crushed.
I think that's true, but
garlic snob.
I've sacrificed, and I've lowered my standards. Yeah, for sure.
I also saw this. I saw this documentary where a lot of the garlic that comes crushed is from it's like China or it's
everything. Anytime
and they're
they
all
want to
doing it with
diss
their
you,
feet, and they use their mouths and to chew the garlic out, to peel it, and it's really gross.
anytime someone wants to make you feel bad about something, they just involve China. They're like, you know where that chicken comes from? Those nuggets, right? They throw cats and rats and torture the chickens.
But they have this loophole where they can say it's from a farm in America, but really they're out there using their toes and their teeth to peel this garlic, and that's what you're getting.
No,
man! And of course they're spitting mercury into it.
It's mostly the Christopher Ranch, so just watch out for Christopher Ranch.
Yeah, they're running it through a tapeworm. They run it through a meat grinder, then run it through a tapeworm, then they spit on it.
Yeah.
That one.
They
in
use
in one nostril, out the other.
Yeah, they roll it in their armpit and then put it in the jar.
And then
and it's China. It's not some Anglo. That would be too clean. It's those filthy Chinese. Chinese. It's a half racist statement.
I'm going to isolate that statement as well. Okay. No, they cut it in half and they use it to sort of kill the bacteria in their crotch region. Just kind of between the legs and the they just.
It's right next to their rhino horn aphrodisiac. They believe rubbing garlic halves on them cures cancer because they're those Chinese people.
Hey,
this has been Life Hacks. Hey everyone.
Where's Mike's life hack? I mean, you gave me the garlic one-upsmanship.
Yeah, but you
moment.
stole his. You greatly improved it. But can you come up with your own?
If it works, I still don't believe I'm in trouble.
Boy, I would love to, guys. We're out of time.
What?
Yeah, isn't that unbelievable? I'll come back with a life hack next time.
I imagine you have 6,000 of these. That's I figured this would be Mike's shining moment.
I am the most pedantic. There was I think Ethan, you said it once that everything we raise at this Chestertonian, Mike will say, no, you're wrong, or he'll have some additional fact.
Yeah.
And you said it, you were kind about it. You said, which is annoying, but then you realize, oh, he's probably right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like the guy, if you say oh, this is how you do this, you're always the guy well, actually, and then you have your super specific way that
Oh,
no.
I try.
If you eat squid, this is how you eat squid.
Oh, I've got my squid eating segment will last the whole next episode, so come back for that. This has been Audio Mullet with Doug TenNapel, Ethan Nicolle, and Michael J. Nelson. We are unfashionable, gentlemen. Say goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.